That's right, Denver. You can at least celebrate that the Nuggets won the NBA Finals. Was I happy about this? No, because I wanted Nikola Jokic to lose because, he's the main competitor to Joel Embiid. But I gotta say, he does deserve it. He does deserve it more than the Miami Heat deserved it. Um, and the Denver Nuggets are just going to be our NBA champions for the 2022-2023 NBA season. Now, looking at this, the Denver Nuggets, they had a 53-29 record. That's actually the best for the Western Conference. They were a weaker conference in the East because the 76ers, Celtics, and Bucks all had better records than the Nuggets did. But the Western Conference was weaker than the Eastern Conference, hence why the Nuggets were still able to get the number one spot, which is the first time in history that they ever got the number one spot. This is the first time they ever in the finals, and they won it on their first try, which honestly I think is just a bit of a beautiful thing. Um, Nope, that's the Warriors. Oops. Now, looking at their playoffs, they weren't exactly playing the best teams. They had a bit of an easier path. First they were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, then the Phoenix Suns, and then they were playing the LA Lakers, and in the finals they were playing the Miami Heat. But them playing consistently all year also helped them get into the position. Because if you're the number one seed, you face off against the 8 seed. And while the Miami Heat were able to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, that's a very rare thing to do. Usually, if you're in that position of being in the number one seed, you're going to win. And then playing consistently all year, the reward was they got to play a not so great team like the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Phoenix Suns, I mean, they're better than the Clippers, but the Phoenix Suns aren't that good in of themselves. Hence why, they lost. And that was their toughest battle was against the Phoenix Suns. They swept the Lakers. Now, the Lakers, you might know them as historically being a dominant team. However, what you got to understand is that Lakers, they've been on a decline recently. I mean, they won the NBA Finals in 2020, but they've really been on a decline recently. They were a really bad team that managed to get lucky at the right time and sneak into the playoffs as a 7 seed. But even though the Lakers could take down the Grizzlies and they could take down the Warriors, they could not take down the Nuggets. And then in the finals, I mean, the Miami Heat, I mean, that is just out of the Nuggets' control. That is like the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The Nuggets had like no way of doing that other than having a better record and having home field advantage. And when you look at who the top scorer is, it's almost always Nikola Jokic. Um, when you look at all these other categories, a lot of it is Nikola Jokic. Just looking at it, there are times where it's like Jokic, Jokic, Jokic across all 3 columns, like games 4 and 5 in the first round, or who else? What else? Games 5 and 6 in the second round. Another time where it's just Jokic, Jokic, Jokic. It didn't happen at all during the third round. Oh nope, game 4. I lied. Um, and then in the finals, it didn't actually happen in the finals. But notice how you always see Jokic in at least one of the columns. Just notice how he's like never absent from one of the columns. He's always in one of the columns, and actually in game 5, I realized that Jamal Murray was the top scorer. Oops. But still. Point is that Jokic was a very consistent player, and honestly, when you look at the regular season log, I mean, did they take a decline at the very end? At the very end, yes, but I mean, just look at this domination throughout the year. They had a very good run in February. January, another really good run. Um, the reward for playing consistently all year is that you have an easier time in the postseason. Now, a lot of people are saying that Nikola Jokic should have been the MVP. And if it wasn't for the fact that Jokic was the MVP twice already, and Embiid never got it, I might actually agree. Joel Embiid is a good enough player that he should at least have one MVP under his belt. He should have at least one MVP under Joel Embiid's belt. And when you look at how much Joel Embiid there is, I mean, he couldn't play game four of the first round or game one of the second, which is why there's a lot of other stuff there. But like when you look at it, I mean, like Embiid, he really carried the way through game five. And like there are some games in which Embiid is like totally absent, even when he wasn't there. But like even when he was there, but I mean, even then you don't really see it. I gotta say, Embiid wasn't playing the best that he could have played during the playoffs. He also had a lot of injuries and an incompetent coach, and that's why I'm so glad that Doc Rivers got fired. And again, Jokic is the NBA Finals MVP, and I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers are in a position where a lot of people saying that Embiid wasn't really the MVP, but I mean, like, but then also like look at 2022 and look at the Nuggets record in 2022 when they lost in a wild card round. No, literally, they lost in the first round to the Warriors in 5 games in 2021. I mean, just look at this sad playoff thing. And they were the 6th seed. And in 2021, when he won the MVP, swept in the conference semifinals. Now, that's where Embiid has always had trouble. Um, ever since he became the star player that he is. And he just hasn't really been in a great position. But the Denver Nuggets, they did deserve an NBA Finals. I just hope it could be the Sixers next year. Um, are there any NBA teams who have been to the NBA Finals now? Are there any NBA teams who have never been to the NBA Finals? Because I just want to say, okay, Clippers, Timberwolves, Hornets, Grizzlies, and Pelicans. Because Denver Nuggets, and if we look at teams who've never won a championship, because you also have the Nets, Pacers, um, Magic, Suns, and the Utah Jazz. Because the Nuggets were able to remove themselves from that list with their NBA Finals win. Wait, why is the video not ending? All right, so